reflect anything about last Saturday that has changed or revealed itself to you from the way you guys performed?
Kind of. I mean, we see what our weak points are, and we just working to fix those things, and basically just coming out and perfecting everything like we're supposed to do, and sticking to the game plan really.
It's probably the most, Mike Gundy said it yesterday, the most snaps he played. Um, I guess with the time to reflect on it, how did you kind of make your own performance?
I did pretty good. I mean, I had some buzz here and there, but as like a whole, I mean, it was pretty good, and I'm just looking to get better, to be honest.
Devin, how is this defense going to be different without Trace Ford moving forward?
It's gonna be. I mean, we got other people to fill in the role. I mean, he's a big factor, fast dude, athletic, very athletic dude. But we got Co, young Co. He's a great player. We got Brock there. I mean, they got great people to fill in. And like Gundy said, next man's up. I mean, you got to be prepared at all moments. And I think we got a lot of people that's prepared to play that position.
And Devin, do you expect Trace to maybe still be, there on the sideline? How do you expect him to be supporting this team, even if he's not on the field?
Oh yeah, I think he very supportive. I mean, he's here every day with a smile on his face. I mean, even though he had a slight injury, I mean, I mean, you wouldn't even know it, to be honest.
You mentioned Colin Oliver, and for you being the veteran, what is it like when you see a young freshman like that come out and do what he did last weekend?
It's a great thing. I mean, a great thing for the program. I mean, he's from Oklahoma. I mean, right up the street, and I mean, he's so young and he's still so good. It's just like the future's bright for him, to be honest.
What stands out to you about him when you watch him?
I mean, everything. He's strong, athletic. He's already big. I mean, quick, and he's just a grinder, to be honest.
When you saw Trace arrive a few years ago, do you see kind of the same thing with Colin?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, he reminds me of a mixture of him and Calvin, to be honest. So it's a good little mix of both.
What was your initial reaction to what you saw from him back in the spring when he first came in, knowing that he was essentially still a high school kid?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I mean, like I said, he was big. I mean, he got a little bigger. And, I mean, he kind of was already prepared. Like, I mean, he goes to a good school, so they kind of prepared him for that. And, I mean, obviously, he knew Calvin and Trace. They all went to the same school, so I mean, he was pretty well prepared for it.
I know you all have talked before about how everyone competes for that defender of the day spot, and of course I saw that Malcolm got it, but how do you think the young guys are buying into that? Are they already kind of starting to compete and get into that whole, everyone wants the recognition now?
Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, like Gundy said, man, compete is everything. So a lot of people go out there competing for spots. I mean, competing for defender of the day. I mean, we're athletes. That's what we're looking to do. And, I mean, everybody wants to get defender of the day, you know what I'm saying? So why not go ball out and try to get it?
Devin, I wanted to ask you a little bit too about, have you worked with Rashedi Jones much since he's been here?
A little bit. I mean, I heard from him here and there, but I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, well spoken, and I mean, he has a lot of good insight of the future for everybody. So I mean, he's a good little asset.
Devin, I spoke with Malcolm about this a few weeks ago. What can you tell me about the black and seasoned wings at Louis?
They're great. I ain't gonna lie to you. They're pretty good. I mean, I guess the hidden menu, I guess, is what they say. So I mean, I would go try it. I recommend y'all go try it, to be honest. So.
Well, I hope I didn't spill the secret, but with the two of you, I mean, you've been together here for a pretty good while. How has that relationship developed?
I mean, yeah, we've grown a lot, to be honest. I mean, talk to you every day. Probably like me, him, Brock, probably the closest right now. And I mean, he's a great dude on and off the field. And I mean, I couldn't ask for a better friend, to be honest.
And he mentioned to me how that the off the field relationship spills onto the field, especially with communication. Do you feel that when you're together out there, even Saturday night?
Oh yeah, we always on the game, so we always communicating, to be honest. But it helps a lot, and just knowing him, kind of things similar, so it's kind of like we kind of tell each other what to do, and it works out for us a lot.
You mentioned Colin and Trace and Calvin, Brock and Malcolm. Do you feel, you're from Tennessee, do you feel Oklahoman in any way? You've spent most of your adult life here. Do you feel more comfortable with the state than you thought you would when you came here first?
Yeah, it's way more. At first I didn't like it too much, but I mean, it's just different. But I mean, it kind of reminded me of Oklahoma. I mean, Tennessee a little bit because the weather's kind of similar, kind of bipolar, and it's still kind of like a little country where I'm at because I'm close to the mountains. But other than, I guess, not having hills, that's probably the only different thing.
One more for Devin, if anybody has it.
Yes, I mean, when you think about the role you've now filled into next to Malcolm, where do you feel like you still have to grow after the other night?
Just really learning concepts of defense and just learning more like the like get kind of really figuring out kind of like what the offense does based off formations, and that's really more what I'm trying to get noticed and like pick up more, to be honest.
And does that just come with more time and more snaps on the field?
Basically, yeah, and more time with Coach Knowles and the other coaches to find tendencies and stuff.
Thanks, guys.